Hey, everybody. It's 5 o'clock and you are here. Thank you. I was worried this room was going to be absolutely empty. You have saved me from talking to myself because I know this, and hopefully this is valuable for you all. I know it's a tough sell, being the only thing between you and happy hour and like the equality thing, so hopefully you find a lot of value in this. And keep me honest, throw tomatoes if you don't. So we're going to start with some calisthenics to keep you all nice and limber. How many people here Sales Cloud? Okay, about half. How many people Service Cloud? Everybody's using everything. We love you. Classic console apps? Okay. Lots of Visual Force? All right, so we're like hitting all the high marks. Classic console integration toolkit, ring a bell? Okay, you're going to love our demo. Everybody else, I'll blaze through it for you all. So I am John Cusera, product management at Salesforce. One of my areas of influence is Lightning console apps. And don't buy anything we haven't built. Console apps are the fastest way to work. So hopefully you all know that. What we've tried to do is we bring these to Lightning is reimagine the experience. And we don't want to do this just to make your lives difficult and introduce like friction points and pain points. We are trying to make your people that much more productive. We're looking at all the little things that we were like, oh, we kind of screwed that up in Classic, and now we can get it right. So one of the things, if you've ever used Classic console apps, how many people love that overflow scroller? You just kind of like, I got to get to that tab. I'm just going to hold it down. Do. Yeah, I'm almost getting there. Okay, I'm almost at the end. We have better overflow. So this is like one of like thousands of things that we reimagined as we're redoing the stuff in Lightning. It has all the great workspaces and sub-tabs that you know and love. They all stay open, as you'd expect, kind of like browser tabs. They open really, really fast. We have better ways to do tabs and lists. One of the other things we've improved upon is tab memory. In Classic, you'd only remember the tabs when you click Logout. That's great if you click Logout. But a lot of people have 15-minute session timeouts because it's very, very secure. And it's horribly frustrating when you lose all the tabs that you had. When that one person's like, hey, just one quick question. And it's never quick. Then 15 minutes later, all your tabs are gone. So this, in Lightning, we remember it every minute. Every minute, we're taking a diff of it. You will not lose a tab. We remember it on browser tab refresh. This means that you can switch browsers. You can switch computers, and it all just works. So this is just a fraction of many of the things that we have made better with Lightning. How many people knew that these are free? Everybody, everyone in this room already has console apps for free. This changed about 18 months ago. If you were Professional Edition, you used to have to pay another $50 to $70 to get console apps. If you were a Sales Cloud customer, you used to have to pay another $10 in EE to get access to console apps in Classic. 18 months ago, we gave that to you for free. We didn't really yell it out because we are just doing lots and lots of other stuff, but you have already had free console apps for 18 months. So what this allowed us to do with Lightning is that silly little checkbox in the user record which says Service Console User. You don't have to click that 1,000 times if you have 1,000 users. These apps work just like all the rest of the apps work. Even better, we have given all of you sales and service console apps out of the box. You don't have to go and create anything. You can just go into the app launcher, switch over, and poke around right now. So we've made it easier so that any user can just be added with profiles the way you do for any app, and you yourself can just go and switch. So we've drastically reduced the friction made possible by these packaging changes 18 months ago. How many people, developers in the room? Okay, good, you're in the right place. If you have Developer Edition orgs, we did not necessarily give you the sales and service console apps. Depending on the perms, you can always create a custom console app if you want to poke around, or a new Developer Edition org will have these in the template. So we have you covered no matter what you're using. Thanks to all of you, adoption has been taking off. One of the fun facts, we have more Sales Cloud console customers in Lightning than we do in Classic. And part of that's the licensing change. Part of that we made it easier to use. And part of it is a lot of people are like, these are just freaking awesome. We want to use these. So thanks to you all, this is just going up and to the right, and we expect this to continue at a very, very brisk pace. So some of the other great stuff. This whole first part is all the things you don't have to write code for, but you could if you want to. Pinned regions. I want to put stuff on the top and the left, and I want it to stay there when I open up a subtab. So let's say I've got case highlights, and I've got all these buttons and actions and all that stuff. I still want to see that when I open a knowledge article. Pinned region templates introduced in spring 18, the one last October. Sorry, I get our names confused. I should know this better. But recently, this is live. You all have access to it now. You can go into Lightning App Builder, make one of them that's out of the box, and put any component you want in it. It can be standard components, could be the custom ones you have, and they work fantastically. Highly encourage you to check it out. Split view. In Classic, you had to go and say, okay, does this app allow you to have this partial width list or not? With Lightning, we said that's silly. Every app has a partial width list. All you have to do is open it or minimize it. If you don't want to use it, great. Use the full width list. It's there too. So every app has both of these. And it's really, really good at opening a bunch of stuff fast. You can click on 5 records, and you only basically wait for 1 page load time. So this is all with productivity in mind. Navigation rules, fancy word for I want to click on one thing and open 2 things. You don't have to write any code for this. A lot of times this is important for Service Cloud. I want to open up the case as a sub-tab of the contact. I can organize all my cases by the people. You could choose to do this for accounts too. I want to open up all my opportunities under the account. So if I'm opening up multiple deals, it's organizing them, it's grouping them. This can all be done in setup without writing any code. Really powerful stuff. Saves you page loads, saves you clicks. Keyboard shortcuts. So Classic had a lot of these too. I think we've made these even better. You can literally throw your mouse away in Lightning and get everything done. It's not just keyboard shortcuts, it's also how we think about accessibility. Accessibility is a standard to say, okay, if you're an unsighted person, you need to be able to use the app. And what it used to be in Classic was, okay, you have this checkbox, and it goes into accessibility mode, and like the UI changes, and you have some stuff that's kind of crappy about it. If you're in Classic console apps, there's lots of iframes, and your keyboard would get trapped. It turns out the same things you need for people that can't see apply to people that are power users. A lot of power users use their keyboard. They learn these things over and over again. And we've made it so that all of Lightning can be used without a mouse. Really powerful stuff with keyboard shortcuts. Macros take it to the next level. So macros are, I want to automate all those clicks. I don't even want to have to click 5 times with the keyboard shortcut. I just want to click once and do it all. Works just kind of like Excel. You click around and say, okay, I'm clicking on log a call. I'm setting the subject to this. I'm clicking send. Those are 3 different steps for the macro. You can then have it do updates. You can have it send emails and much, much more. End users can make these. Admins can make these. The end user ones are private. Admin ones are public. These are great. And again, no code, but that's not why you all came here. Okay, this is where we're starting to meld into Codeland utility bar. One-click access to power tools. You can do this with any app, not just console apps, but there's some great utilities that only are in console apps. So one is history. History, for those of you that don't know, this is the last 10 workspaces you had open. So you never have to worry about, oh, I just accidentally closed that. You just go to history, it's all right there. You can grab links, you can reopen it. It's like your worry-free tab closing so that the tab hoarders among you can feel confident closing all your tabs. We've got great things like notes. You can write custom components. You can put pretty much any custom component you want, you can put in the utility bar. And even better than Classic, there are a bunch of standard components you can put in the utility bar without writing code. What if you want a report chart? All the open cases. One click away, no code needed. What if you want quick links? A lot of people did that with homepage sidebar components. This is the latest outage update. This is the link to our pricing page, stuff like that. Rich text area component, drag it in, just put some links in, refresh, everybody's got it right there. No code needed. Okay, and so this is where we get to the fun stuff. So much of the powerful Classic console apps was programmatically doing stuff and changing the UI. And we have tools galore in Lightning to do this for you. So part of this is pick the right tool for the job. I'll share this so you don't have to memorize all the crazy words out here. But for the one person using the Classic Console Integration Toolkit, we have you covered with Lightning JavaScript APIs. For everybody else, these things are super powerful. You can programmatically open anything. I click a button, I want to open a case and an account and something else. You can do that with a JavaScript API. When you have like an instant message coming in, I want to change the title to the subject of that IM. You can do that with a JavaScript API. I want to change the icon of my utility to phone call when I'm on a call. You can do that with a JavaScript API. They're instant, client-side, really, really powerful. And we made them auto-magically work if you had written them in Classic. So this is great. No friction going to Lightning. Action overrides. This is our really difficult way of saying, I want custom code to show up when I click the edit button, or the new button, or the delete button, or a list. We supported that with Lightning components recently. In the future, we will support Visual Force for all of you Visual Force overriders. Coming soon, Safe Harbor, this is the only thing like future. October is what we're planning on. So unless we screw up, that's what we're planning on at the moment. These are great for having really custom valid forms. I want validation. Maybe it's callouts to a address tracking service. Maybe it's just other fancier organization or multi-step flow. That's what action overrides are really good for. Navigate to component. I want to open up a custom Lightning component to do whatever I want. This is going to go away. I'll talk a little bit more about how this works. And then there's more. Utility bar, force create record. You can check out all the slides later. So we talked a bunch about the JavaScript APIs. I think I'll skip most of that. Action overrides, we'll go through this in demo too. This gives you a sense of what some of these look like. So one of the nice things about these is this validation. Very common use case that a lot of people have. And it allows you to pretty easily write a little bit of code to have these custom forms for whatever you want to create or edit. This is how Navigate's component works. This is, I just want to open up some arbitrary Lightning component. I want to have like a page of processes, or I want to load like a different flow, or what are some other things people have done? Sometimes it's like iframing in third-party pages, things like that. These are really powerful for this. This is like your get out of jail free card of, I just want a button to like open whatever I want, and Navigate component lets you do that. Check the release notes. This is the biggest caveat here. We are going to have a much better way to do this with just URLs. Classic, you just could do like /apex/myvisualforce page. We're going to have something like that for Lightning components coming soon. So for now, the next 3 months as you're doing all of your rollouts, Navigate to component, and then we'll make it even better with the summer. Force create record. So this is, I want to pre-populate fields when I'm creating a record. You can fire this off and say, okay, I want the phone number to be this. I want the case status to be working. I want the record type to be blank. Oh, sorry, not record type. That is not supported, but the rest of them are all supported. Okay, slides are great. Demo is better. Let's go into a little more about how these things work so you can get comfortable with it. So I'll start with a sales use case, and then we'll go into some of the classic stuff. So when you land in a console app first, how do you get there? Just go to the app launcher. We have this sales and service console app. All of you, your homework, go to Lightning, whether it's preview or turn it on or whatever, click the app launcher, go into these apps and start poking around. So we're in the Lightning Service Console app, pre-created by Salesforce out of the box. It has all the menu items up here. So for those of you that haven't used console apps, all of the tabs you're used to are just right up here. I'm on leads. I show a list view here. As I open something up, we call these workspaces because we like to rename things in Lightning land. If you classic users, primary tab, workspaces, same thing. And one of the great things about these is they're kind of like browser tabs inside of a browser. We're really silly. We said, you know, we could make a browser better than the browser people, but there's benefits. So first, it stays open. And then you'll notice that split view automatically opens. So now I have that same full-width lead list showing up when I've got the workspace here. I can now queue up a bunch more because it's the beginning of the day and I just want to send a bunch of emails. All these are loading in parallel and they load super fast. I can use my left, right to just tab between all of them. If I want to use GL, I'll go back to the list. I can just hit enter and open up more. As I'm working this lead, I can then go down, log a call, send some info out, and that'll update the activity feed as you'd expect. And then, of course, we have the power of all of the subtabs as well. So if I'm diving into a specific task, we get this second level of tabs, and everything stays loading. So super fast. It's great for toggling, and then I can use my keyboard shortcut to close it when I'm done. Hopefully you get the sense. You can get your job done really, really, really fast with all of these. Some other Lightning-only things, keyboard shortcuts for stuff like notes and history. Just press H to make history pop up whenever you want. Just press N to make notes pop up whenever you want. I can do GW to go back to workspaces, tab, enter, and then go back into the content to go and edit. E to edit, and then Command S to save. Everything is updated, and I can just really do my job super fast here. So this is all good and well. Why don't we go into Classic for my one person who has written Visualforce pages with JavaScript APIs. You're going to love this demo. It's going to be amazing. This is what the Classic console looks like for those that aren't aware. In this Classic console, we have a Service Cloud use case. Okay, we want to work a bunch of cases in here. I'm going to go into probably my recently viewed cases, and let's open up one of the cases for today. Opens up as you'd expect. You kind of have your components on the left, milestones, knowledge, all that good stuff. One of the things we have over on here on the left is a Visualforce component. So what this Visualforce component is doing is it's pulling in a bunch of orders. And when I click on one of those orders, this is actually launching a web tab. This is a Heroku app that will be iframed into Salesforce. So with Classic, this is a really, really powerful thing. If you have like a different system you're using for order management, you can pull that up as a sub-tab right from within a workspace using JavaScript APIs. And a lot of people do this within Classic. Sometimes they do it for intranet pages. Sometimes it's for financials. And you can do this with just writing a bare minimum amount of code. Open tab with this URL, and you just whitelist the domain. So this is that third-party iframed order management system. One of the other really powerful things of all these JavaScript APIs is they can talk to Salesforce too. So I can have that third-party system further have this JavaScript library call a Salesforce URL. So in here, what we've done is we've got this case, and this case is saying, okay, I was billed for 100 of this SKU, but I only got 50 of them. So give me half my money back or give me the rest of them. So one of the common things is, okay, well, I'm got to check out the orders to see what happened. We open this order up. We see that, yep, we had a typo. We shipped 50 of the wrong thing. And maybe we want to check out on the account some of the more billing information. So what we can do is click on this button here from a third-party tab. This can talk back to Salesforce and open up a Salesforce account. So what I'm hoping you're taking away is in Classic, we have these really powerful capabilities to interact with third-party pages and have them talk back to Salesforce to do all this stuff. And they can do anything. They can update the tab title or the icon or open other things. And this is all great and well, but this is Classic. What we wanted to do was make sure that all of you did not have to rewrite all of this code. We don't want you to have to rewrite your Visualforce because you'd say, I hate you, Salesforce, I'm going to go buy something else. You'd say, I'm just going to stay in Classic forever, and this is not the value that I wanted. Well, what I want to communicate to you all is this just works in Lightning. So we're going to go back to a case page. Let's switch over. We're going to go to cases. We're going to look at that exact same case that we were just looking at. And in this, we do not have that Visualforce component, but fear not, we have Lightning App Builder. So Lightning App Builder, hopefully you've all used it. Anybody not use Lightning App Builder? WYSIWYG way to move components around, add components. So one of the components that we have is Visualforce. And the way that components work is you have one component that can do many things. So for this one, we're going to find our Trailhead DX demo orders list component. When I add that component in and define this attribute, then it picks which page I want to show up in the Lightning page. We give it a height. 300 looks about good. We save it. We assign it. And then we can go back to our case page. So yeah, that's great. OK, we've all seen Lightning App Builder. But when I click on this, this is using a Classic JavaScript API. It's auto-magically working in Lightning. So you don't have to care whether you're coding in Classic and spending all this time doing stuff there, or if you're doing all the Lightning APIs. We made it so that it just works regardless of where you start. Further, from this third-party page, it's still using a Classic API. It's still going to open up that account right from within Lightning. So basically, you have no excuse not to look at Lightning. We have made the cost so trivially cheap to migrate all of this great code that all of you have written that you can't hope but love what we've built here. So what I want all of you to do is test this out yourself. Don't believe me. Move your Visualforce pages over. Tell us what works. Tell us what's not. And then we'll fix, of course, anything that's not. But most of it is just kind of amazing in here. Okay, so we're on our account here. One of the things that people often want to do is, I want a custom creation flow. And a lot of you have record types. We've got a record type here. And when I go to this is a Lightning component override. So this is a bunch of custom Lightning code, and what we've done with this is added validation. So we've got a bunch of JavaScript validation, as many of you do, so that people don't do silly things. It's faster than doing like the validation rule, which only happens on save. So I put in this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait, it doesn't have this. Okay, 5. And then I click save. So one of the nice things with these Lightning component overrides is you can control the experience very deeply. You can control what the toast says. You can control the color of it. You can control all those fields. And this is a really, really powerful way to do it all. Okay, so this is all great and well. Let's look at how some of the code for these two things works. First, people in the cheap seats, can you read this? Text big enough? All right, thumbs up. So first what we'll look at is the Visualforce page, which we had for the order entries. So what this is doing is it has a Lightning style sheets. So Lightning style sheets, you can tag all of your Lightning pages. Just put this simple tag, and it makes it look like Lightning when it's in Lightning. Super, super cheap way to restyle and reskin the Visualforce pages. If you remember in Classic, when we were on this case, like one simple thing is the labels were on the left and the values were on the right. Lightning chooses not to do that. The style sheet automatically just changes that for you in Lightning. So this is a really easy way to make your VF code look closer to Lightning. What we also have in here is include the Classic console integration toolkit. So this is how many people have used this automation. And then what a lot of people do there is have the JavaScript down here. What this is doing is saying, okay, first only do this if it's inside of a console app. And then what I want to do is I want to figure out what tab I'm in. So let's call it get and closing tab, primary tab ID. That's going to tell me, okay, this tab is like basically like C tab 0. And then I want to open something. I want to open a subtab. And what we've done here is we've basically hard-coded the URL for demo purposes. This could be any URL you want. This could be a third-party system. This could be a Salesforce URL. It could be something else. We're going to say what that primary tab ID is. We're going to use open tab here and say, okay, the thing I want to open is this Heroku app. The tab for it. The URL is the Heroku app. Say true. What's the title for it? And then some other things. And all of this is very well documented. And what that results in is when you have this link on click, it's going to open up this web tab. When we go over to Acme, what I wanted to show you is how the overrides work. So let's go into setup so you can see the declarative part of it first. So usually you create the component first, but I think it'll help to understand how these are put together. Go into our fancy object manager. We're going to go to contacts, and then to buttons, links, and actions. We call these action overrides. So you've got things like delete, edit, new, and new you'll see here is using a Lightning component. So you can change this. You go to the menu, click edit, and you've got plenty of options. One of the other great things, by the way, is you don't have to choose between like Visualforce and Lightning components for Classic. Is anybody doing phase rollouts where they're moving some people to Lightning and not others? So this page is really, really important if you're using VF overrides. One of the things that sucked before was we said, okay, if you're using VF overrides in Classic, you have to use them in Lightning. And that stinks, because what if you don't want to? What if you want to use the standard Lightning page? What if you want to use a Lightning component because we're telling you that Lightning components are amazing? Well, now you can. And I think it was spring. I think it was just in February we introduced this toggle. So now I can say, okay, in Visualforce, I want to use this page. Whereas in Lightning, I want to use this Lightning component. So you can now just go in, click a few times, and have that different experience for your Classic console users and really separate the two so you can have that branching as you phase people in. So this is great. This is really powerful control. So we go in here and we say, okay, for Lightning experience, we want to use this Lightning component that we've created. And what this component looks like is this contact. For action overrides, you need to use this interface. So Lightning components use interfaces to say basically like, where can I use this? That's the most common uses of interfaces. And this Lightning action override says, yes, I can use it to override the new button or the edit button or whatever else. I usually just put a host of other ones so I can use my components elsewhere. Available for all page types is kind of your get out of jail free card if you just want to test stuff out. You can put it pretty much anywhere, any type of page. What we also did in here was in the to contrast the Classic and Lightning. Classic, you'd have, okay, include this script. In Lightning, the way to get access to those JavaScript APIs is include this component called Workspace API. We have lots of doc, lots of great code examples, so don't have to memorize it. You have all the different attributes in here, but that's not terribly important. We have an initialization. And then what I did was wrap this in a card so that as you're creating the new contact, we can go back here, it gives you the white background behind everything. So it's not like this kind of weird invisible thing with like blue. So you can wrap a card to give that a little bit of structure. Then using a bunch of Lightning input fields. So we're just saying, okay, v.newContact first name, put in the first name field, last name field, title field, phone number. And then this is where we've got some of that custom validation, which is where these overrides really shine. So you can put that validation in immediately and then have some messages about when these don't match. Finally, we've got our cancel and save buttons. One caveat with Lightning component save buttons, we don't have standard save and cancel buttons for Lightning components. For Visualforce, you just have like this apex command button, and you say, okay, the value is saved. When you click it, it would do the DML thing, it would update and create the record, and then it would redirect to the right place. We haven't done that yet for Lightning, so unfortunately we're putting some of the burden on you, but we do have code samples for all of these and how to do it. So what we have and what we recommend is using these custom JavaScript methods for how you handle cancel and save. So for cancel, if we go into our JavaScript controller for this, let me go down to canceled here. It's calling this method in the controller. And what it's saying is, okay, first get that component for the APIs. So this is getting that JavaScript API component. This is basically just saying, I want to use the JavaScript APIs, and I don't want to have to type component.find all the time. Then, from that component has a bunch of methods supported. These are all the JavaScript API methods. First thing I want to do is figure out what tab is this? So what tab are we trying to close? Because when you're canceling, really what you're doing is you click a button and you just kind of want it to go away. Really what you're doing is closing the tab. So first we figure out what's the parent. So going back over here, we want to figure out, is this within a sub-tab? Is it a workspace tab? What's that tab ID? And the way to do that is get focus tab info. Because when you have cancel button, you have to be focused. You could also do like get and closing tab. That works fine too. Then you get the response ID. This is saying, okay, I want the tab ID from that. And now I'm going to call close tab method. And the tab ID is what we just got. Pretty basic, pretty easy stuff. For save, it's a little bit trickier, but it's not too bad. So first, what we're doing in here is we're setting a bunch of the params. We're binding this to a potential contact. We're doing the callback, and the callback is basically saying, okay, we're going to call an Apex controller to do the insert. Lots of fancy JavaScript for that. Once that is all done, actually, let me go up here. We are going to fire a toast. That toast then says, hey, success, it worked, as long as it actually worked. So we're checking that response to make sure that it actually worked. We're getting the record ID once it's been inserted, because we want to redirect this record ID. Let me back up a little bit. When you save, you're doing a bunch of stuff. So first, you want to do the insert to the database. So that's this first part. We want to do an insert. It's basically saying, okay, take all the form fields, make a request, hopefully it works, and then you get back the record ID. What's the new record ID of the thing that we had? Second part of save is, I want to change this form from the edit view to the record view. So we need that record ID to put together the URL to do that. So first we're doing this insert, then we're doing this toast, and then finally we're getting the record ID to redirect. And what we're doing here is a different flavor. We're doing a nav event instead of a JavaScript API. The reason we're doing this is so that you can redirect within the same page instead of opening up a new thing. So what we're doing here, we're saying navigate test object. That's basically fancy speak for go to a record. Set the parameters. Parameters is this record ID that we got back from the response of that insert. Redirect is true, which is saying, yes, I want to replace this current page. Fire it off, and then you get the behavior that we saw here, where we were creating this. We filled out the fields. We've got our form, our email. You can all send me personal emails if you'd like. And now we're on our contact. So we got a toast, we redirect, it's all inserted, and we're one big happy family. So this was a whirlwind. What I'm hoping you take away is that we have a lot of really powerful stuff without code, We've made it better in Lightning, and we have given you a lot of really powerful tools you can use in Lightning to really customize this. What I'll do is post this in the session settings link so that you have access to all the links, all the code samples, all that good stuff. This has a link to we call it the console integration toolkit. That's what we call it in Classic. It's the JavaScript APIs. We also have, for those folks that have done it, our one person for Classic, we have a link of all the bridges. What are the things in Classic that still work in Lightning without rewriting any code? We've got a bunch of trailheads. So for folks that haven't gotten started with Service Cloud, really great way to just understand how to put these together, some other customizations, some other things on design, and then last but not least, how to do Lightning component overrides. So thank you for that, and we'll open it up to questions. Demo of a navigation rule that opens up two things. I can do it pretty quick. The way you do it in setup is, I guess the other people didn't like that as much. Thank you for coming. So just go to App Manager. Go to one of your console apps. We can go to, I have a lot of apps. It's ironic. We call this the simple demo org, and it's like the most complex org known to humankind. So we're just going to go and edit an app, and this is where you just do all the stuff. We've got a tab called Navigation Rules in here, and then we say, okay, instead of cases opening up by themselves, I actually want to open it up as a child of a contact. So we save this. Hopefully we haven't done super aggressive caching. I actually forget how long it takes for cache invalidation and how we do it. Some things we're really good at it, some things we aren't. And if our cache invalidation has happened, voila. We now opened up Wes, the contact, and we opened up the case as a sub-tab with just a few clicks here. So that's nav rules. Check them out. You had a question?
Yeah. For existing Classic console, is there a way of converting them to Lightning the way you have other apps and are able to convert them over?
Can you ever convert a Classic console app to a Lightning console app? Yes, with a lot of clicking. Okay. So there's not like a magic button that says, okay, we're going to take all those settings and move it over. What we've tried to do is at least give you a head start with the Lightning Sales Console and Lightning Service Console apps so that you can just edit those, which should save you some clicking.
So it's not like the existing apps that are out there where you can hit and convert?
Correct. Yeah, we do not have like a magic migrate button because there's just some things that are fundamentally different, but also just where we're at in the life cycle of all these, we haven't chosen to prioritize that yet. Maybe we will later. But we've tried to make it so that it's pretty quick. Select a few menu items. Yeah, sure. Like select a few menu items. If you're making a new one, say it's a console app, which utilities do you want? Do you want to do nav rules or not? Which profiles? And that's really it. Other questions? Okay, feel free to find me later. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.